Hi guys. Another video. I know you're probably at home going, oh my gosh, Mr. Payne, will you please quit making all these videos? Well, I could, but I'm not going to. And here's why. We've talked about it in class. Because of this COVID, we are doing limited time in studio, so I don't want to use studio time to teach you techniques. I want you to watch how to do it and then be able to come in the studio and do it and not have to use studio time for me to tell you how to do it. Okay, so when you're at home, you watch the videos. When you come in the studio, you practice what you learned on the videos. Today, we're gonna put a handle on, all right? So remember that tumbler that I did that had the, looked like little trees in the distance or whatever, and I put the wave on? Well, I came back, I put a bottom on it and used the same design that I did the triangles there. It made this cool little design on the bottom of my piece there. So I've got that ready now for a handle. Where are we gonna put the handle? The handle's gonna cover the seam up. My seam is right here. Now I did I won't say a good job, but I did a job of trying to camouflage that seam. I carried over the lines here and I added a stamp there so we have it kind of uniform all the way around. Making the handle. I'm going to start off with a ball of clay and I'm going to twist it and I'm going to pinch it just like we do a coil, because we're going to start this handle off as a coil. We're going to make a coil that's carrot shaped, meaning it's going to be thicker on one end than the other. We're going to about 5/8 of an inch, about as thick as your top of your thumb at one end and down to your pinky on the other. So I've got it pinched up where it's thicker and thinner, and I'm just going to smooth that coil out now. I know that this is going to be much larger than I need for my finished product, for my finished handle, and we're going to cut it to size. So right now that's like, wow, way too big. So I'm going to cut all that off, and I'm going to look at this section right here. Now, several ways you can do this. I could sit here and tap this flattened, but here's the philosophy. Right now I've got a coil that's round, and when I flatten that, now I'm going to have nice round edges that are going to be comfortable to hold on to. What I don't want to do, I do not want you to make a slab and then cut it and use that as a handle. I know myself. If you do that, I will walk over to your piece in the studio, I will get a knife and I will cut your handle off and I will say, try again, because that is not going to work. When you grab a 90-degree edge and it's got full of liquid, it's going to be very uncomfortable in your hand. So I could also use those little rollers that we have in the studio, but I want you to be able to do this when you're at home also. So I'm just going to lightly tap this with the ball of my hand and flatten it out a little bit. I'm not going completely flat. I just want my roundness to change from round to a nice smooth edge there. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, we have to cut this so it's going to fit my mug. This is flat. My cup is round. It doesn't fit. So I'm going to cut this with my needle probe and cut it rounded. The easiest way to do it, and when we're in the studio, I'm looking over my shoulder to see if I have that tool here. I don't. It's right over there. I'm going to grab it and show you how to do it in the studio a little bit easier. Using a metal rib. And I think I grabbed the dirtiest one over there. I'm going to use this metal rib and I'm going to bend it round and I'm going to stamp cut this. So I'm just laying it on the clay and I'm going to push it through, remove it, and now that's cut rounded. And that's going to fit flush against my mug. So I've got this end taken care of, but that's way too big of a handle. I'm gonna lay this on the table. I'm gonna put my thumb, so right where my thumb bends, I'm gonna put that joint up against the edge there, and I'm going to round this around and make this into an ear shape. Now, coming straight down from here, coming straight down, I'm going to cut that. Again, stamp cut that. When I do that, now I have this piece that's rounded, and it will sit directly on my piece flush. I cut this at the bevel, I cut that rounded, and everything sits nice on the mug. So, we have to slip and score, don't we? So, I'm going to, that was sloppy. I'm going to score this, score that, add my vinegar, get my mug out, find my seam again. There's my seam. I'm going to set it up here, up high on the tumbler or on the mug. Set that down and touch. Remove. Score. Score. Add vinegar. Add vinegar. Feel free to say it along with me at the house. And I always like to do a little bit of twist and push when I'm trying to attach two pieces together. I'm holding the inside of the mug, so when I push the handle in, I just don't tump my mug over. And then we do our cleanup. I like using the wood rib on the inside here, and I'm going to do this kind of a rounded motion, and I'm going to kind of blend that in the edge up here, because that's where my hand is going to sit, and I want it to be nice and comfortable when my hand sits up there. Another technique that I've showed you is using the paintbrush to help smooth things out. It pushes a little bit of vinegar into that crack and generates a little bit of slip, and I can push that slip into the crack and get it nice and smooth. Now, I'm going to show you two more things that you can do with your handle. It's not required. You could be done right here and say, bam, I've got a handle on my mug, and I'm perfectly happy with it looking like this. And if that's what you want, I'm fine with that. As long as it's comfortable in your hand, we're good. But a buddy of mine who purchases lots of my mugs and stuff is an IT at a Humana here in town. And he walks around all the time with a cup of coffee in his hand. And he said, I like the thumb rest. The thumb rest that you put on there makes it a lot more comfortable to walk around holding my mug. So to make a thumb rest, I am taking a slab of clay and I'm pinching it into about a nickel-sized piece. And you can see it's about a 1/4 inch thick, the size of a nickel. I'm going to flatten one side out. So now it's more of an oval versus a circle. I'm going to score the lip of my mug and down on the handle a little bit. Add vinegar. I'm going to set my thumb rest up, press it in place, and then holding my handle underneath so I can put pressure on, I'm going to blend that in. And smooth it out. So I've got a nice smooth transition of my mug going into my handle now. Now, I've got that little thumb rest that I can hold on to when I'm taking a drink. Okay? One more little thing that I like to do. Again, don't have to do this. See this edge down here? I don't know if you can see it there in that. But see how that comes to a point and is sharp right there? Not my favorite look. It's not hideous, but I'm gonna soften that up a little bit. So I'm making a piece of clay, a little coil, like a little Tootsie Roll. So it's a little round coil. Now I'm gonna pinch one side of it and make it more like a teardrop shape. Boy, it's hard to see if you can see that. More of a teardrop shape. So I'm gonna take that teardrop and I'm gonna put it in this edge down here. So I'm gonna score down here, add vinegar, and I'm gonna drop this inside. Again, hold the handle in place, and I'm gonna blend that now using my wood modeling tool. I'm gonna blend it into the handle, I'm gonna blend it into the body of the mug, and I'm gonna take care of the edges down here and smooth things in. You may say, boy, that's a little bit of work there for not much change in your piece, but for me it makes a drastic change in the aesthetics of the mug when I look at that handle and I've got this nice smooth swooping handle at the bottom versus this sharp edge. So you have to look at yours and you have to decide how you feel about it, and do you want to do this extra step or not. Again, not required. I'm not going to judge you as a human being if you decide to do it or not. I know some of you struggle a bit manipulating the clay, and that may be one more step that you're thinking, man, I just don't want to do one more thing. I'm happy where I'm at. And if you are, congratulations, as long as you've got a nice, functional mug that's comfortable to hold, I'm happy. I'm looking at my shape of my handle, trying to get it comfortable. So I like a 4-finger one too. A lot of guys like the four finger style handle. So now, see how that's curved right here versus being that sharp edge? Just a small tweak that I like. All right? And there's your handle. Excellent. See ya.